My name is Kim Morgan with Woodlands Online, and I'm here with Bruce Rieser, who is running for the Woodlands Township Board of Directors position 4.
Right.
Bruce, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you've been a resident of the Woodlands for 27 years now, and you've certainly seen a lot of growth during that time and lots of changes.
Yep.
Did this have anything to do with your decision to run for this position?
No question. When we came here, back in 1989, this was a sleepy little town. Research Forest dead ended at Shadow Bend. There wasn't anything more than a 2-lane road anywhere within the Woodlands proper. Obviously now, we're 114, 115,000 people. We're a de facto mid-sized city. And there's been a ton of changes. But the real wake-up call for me was the road bond last year. And the idea that we would actually consider doing something that we knew was going to fail our road infrastructure, based on the traffic studies that we had. And when 83, we had a record turnout for that May bond issue in terms of the people that came out. 83% of the Woodlands residents voted against that bond. And yet, Craig Doyle the next day said, we're going to build it anyway. That was a wake-up call. And, there's a great quote, I think it was Lily Tomlin said once, I stood around for years saying somebody ought to do something, and one day I woke up and realized I was somebody. And, I think honestly, at that point, I had been pressured to run for office for probably 10 years, and my wife was absolutely dead set against it. Didn't want me going to Austin, didn't want me going to Washington. Really didn't think that was, what was good for me or our family. And then, this year when I was really asked again to run for the Township Board, I was sitting talking to her and I said, well, what do you think? And she said, I think you should run. Why the change of heart? And she said, because if we don't get this right, we're going to have to move. And the Woodlands is our home. We've been here for 27 years. We sold our original home 3 years ago. We could have gone anywhere. But the Woodlands is home. And so we bought another house inside the Woodlands. And we plan to be here until as long as we're able to stay in our house. We love the Woodlands. It's one of the great things of our life that we got transferred here in 1989. We really thought it would be a 3 to 5 year stint, and it turned out to be 27 years and counting.
So tell me more about your background then and what makes you qualified for this position.
I spent 33 and a half years with British Airways, and before I retired in 2010. And literally, I started my career. It was almost an accident. It was a temporary job in a cargo warehouse in Chicago, Illinois, in 1977. I was driving forklifts and throwing boxes around. And we had a dock strike on the East Coast. And suddenly, instead of going back, to Columbus, where I'm from, I was made a permanent employee, and it set me off on a 33-year career. I ended up, the last job I held for the last 10 years at BA, I was Director of Properties, the Americas, which meant that I was in charge of all the real estate assets, all of our airport leases, and our relationships in the entire Western Hemisphere. I had a budget of over $150 million a year. I was with 37 cities I was traveling to. And if you've ever been in an airline meeting with an airport authority, and you've got 19 carriers around the table, and we're sitting across from the airport authority, every one of those carriers has their own agenda. And figuring out a way to get everybody to come together so that you can actually get something done, is a very difficult task. And yet that was what I did for 10 years, and I think I was pretty good at it.
I saw something on your website about being a small business owner. So can you tell me about that?
And in 2011, after I retired, I started my own consulting company. And right now, I'm representing all the foreign flag carriers at Bush Intercontinental Airport on this Terminal D. It's not a remodel; it's actually a tear down and rebuild a brand new terminal. Right now, the price tag on that project is $1.6 billion, and we haven't turned a spade of earth yet. And so I've got 17 clients, and and I actually kind of interface between the airport authority and the carriers themselves. And I kind of try to be the guy, the reasonable guy in the middle, that gets each side to move a little bit, so that we can actually get something accomplished. Because if you just sit out here and you've got the other side sitting out here, it's really hard to come together to get anything done in anybody's mutual interest. Because in the end, the carriers are the ones who are going to pay that $1.6 million or $1 billion. And the airport authority needs to listen as we go through this process. But that's what I'm doing now.
So there are, a few main issues that residents of the Woodlands are concerned about. Roads, corporation. What do you think the biggest issue, first issue that needs to be tackled?
Well, obviously, incorporation is an issue, but it's a medium-term issue for me, I think. Mobility is obviously a big problem, and I think everybody in the Woodlands is affected by it. What a lot of people don't understand about the Woodlands is it's really a reverse commute, destination. Most communities end up emptying out during the daytime. We get bigger, and we get bigger by a lot. As many as 60 or 70,000 people a day that are coming into the Woodlands either to work or shop or play. And so, we've got some issues outside of our little borders that we have to tackle. I've looked at the South County Mobility Plan, and frankly, I don't understand what's going on there. The idea of putting 6-lane thoroughfares right through the middle of the Woodlands into our neighborhoods is not something that anybody in this community is going to like. We're going to bring in noise, we're going to bring in traffic, we're going to bring in safety issues. I just think that that we need to take a hard look at what we're thinking here, and we should be utilizing the natural loop roads that we've got around the Woodlands: 2978, FM 1488, State Highway 242, I-45, and the feeder system to make sure that we move this traffic around the Woodlands and not through it. I just think that there's some other things that we're looking at. I just read recently that the park and ride system is now looking at reverse commutes. In other words, bringing people by bus to the Woodlands instead of taking people from the Woodlands by bus downtown. I think that ideas like that we need to take a hard look at. And the other problem that we really have in the mobility side of this thing is, we're 114,000 people. If we were to incorporate, we'd be the 31st largest city in Texas. There's never been a city this size that's incorporated. Never had an incorporation for a city of this size in Texas history, but we'd be the 31st largest city. Right now, Shenandoah, Oak Ridge, Magnolia, Montgomery, all these little towns have got seats on the Houston-Galveston Council. The Woodlands does not, because we're not a city. We are a special purpose taxing district and called a township. So I just think that there's so many issues that we need to tackle here. When the South County Mobility Plan came out, the Woodlands Township Board voted unanimously to reject it, unanimously. And yet, Craig Doyle basically said, we're not changing it. We're not changing it. Now, just to give you an example of what it might be like if we do incorporate, Shenandoah, little Shenandoah, has successfully fought off both TxDOT's attempts to put a flyover on Research Forest. They basically said no. And in the original South County Mobility Plan, Grogan's Mill was slated to be a 6-lane thoroughfare up to 336. The city of Shenandoah said, we own the right-of-way and we're going to build houses on it. No, thank you. Not now, not ever. And so the idea that, the idea that we need to work together, I'm all for working together. But we've got a problem right now. The only county commissioner that's really listening to us, and the guy that we can affect is James Nowak. Nowak is actually listening to the people of the Woodlands, and he's doing a great job. But the other county commissioners, not so much. I mean, the fact is, the Woodlands is 20%, a little less than 20% actually, of the total Montgomery County population. Yet we're paying 38+% of all the property taxes for the entire county. As the county continues to develop, our share of the population is going to continue to decline. So right now there's 5 county judge positions. You've got one that we can directly affect, and that's James Nowak. We can have a little more impact, a little bit of impact on Precinct 2, which is Charlie Riley now. But the other 3 positions, we really don't have much to say about who's going to sit in those slots, and we need 3 votes to get things done with our county commissioners. I would say when you talk about the issues that are really confounding people, clear cutting of trees, noise, traffic, all we can do as a township is go hat in hand to either Harris County or Montgomery County and ask them to help us. And they're not obligated to do so in any way, shape, or form. And we can see some of the stuff that's going on because of that. As a special, the township really has three basic powers as it is currently, constituted. One, it can contract for goods and services to benefit the residents of the Woodlands. Two, we can, enforce our deed restrictions civilly, not criminally, civilly, and we can levy taxes. Beyond that, we really don't have a lot to say. When residents say, well, what are you going to do about clear cutting? We're talking to the development company about it. But we can't tell them no. We have no right to tell them no. And so, yeah, I want to work together, but let's make sure that, that the voice of the residents is first and foremost in this discussion, and that the people's voice is heard, and that we do the right thing for the people. I mean, this is an absolutely marvelous place to be. And, and you've got 114,000 affluent, highly educated residents, and you've got a ton of businesses that want access to the 114,000 highly educated, and, affluent residents. Those people are here because there's a lot of amenities, and those amenities are here because they want access to us. So there's a delicate balance that needs to be struck. I'm not anti-development at all. I mean, as I said, I came here when it was 20 some odd thousand people. I knew George Mitchell. I saw him on regular occasions at a little Italian restaurant down on Rayford Road and at other places around town. And we talk, when I hear people saying things like, we need to be true to Mr. Mitchell's vision. I'm sorry, but Mr. Mitchell's vision left the Woodlands in a lot of ways when Crescent Realty took over, and certainly when Howard Hughes took over from Crescent. The fact is, these are big-time real estate development companies whose primary reason to be here is to make money. And I don't blame them. That's what companies are supposed to do. But I still think you've got as many people as we've got here, and we've spoken loud and clear on a lot of issues, and frankly, we haven't gotten a lot of response.
It is a delicate balance, like you say. We have some large industry in the area, more and more healthcare and medical,
right?
Oil and gas. We want that here, but at the same time, we still want to have that small town feel.
I agree, and and I think you can do both. But when you take a look at how delicately this community was planned, and how everybody understood from day one that east-west mobility was king. And you just have little bitty feeder roads coming into the main east-west thoroughfares, Research Forest, Lake Woodlands, Woodlands Parkway, etc. Nobody envisioned, when you take a look at what's gone on around us, the immense development that has gone on outside the Woodlands environs. They're getting the advantage of what the Woodlands has brought here, but there really hasn't, no sort of planning effort like we saw in the Woodlands over the years to maintain that feel. Basically, it's, wow, there's a great big acreage site over there. Let's go build some houses on it. Or better yet, let's build some multi-story apartment buildings without a heck of a lot of thought as to, how those people are going to get from point A to point B. And now, we're running into issues. It's not surprising. But as I said, it is, yes, it's a cooperative effort. But, being cooperative doesn't mean we always get the short end of the deal. That's not what cooperation is. Cooperation is we find, a happy medium where we can both be a little unhappy and we can live. So.
Excellent. What is your favorite thing about living here in the Woodlands?
We found the Woodlands to be one of the friendliest places that we have ever lived. And Sarah and I lived all over the country, and even over in the UK. I lived over in the UK for a little while before we came here. And everybody here, I think because there's so many of us people from somewhere else that have landed here, it's just incredibly friendly. I love the country feel of it. When we came here, it was really it was actually kind of a Woodlands thing for years because the signage here was so bad that you constantly see people pulled over on the side of the road with a map going like this, and you'd stop and get them to roll down the window and say, "What are you looking for?" And you'd help them. But that's what I like. And I mean, obviously, I love the amenities we've got now. Now, I love the fact that I don't have to drive an hour each way to Houston to have, a great meal, or to do shopping, or to do my banking, or to go to the hospital. I mean, when we came here, the nearest hospital was Northwest. The nearest mall was Greens Point. There was a great big sign out on 45 that said, Woodlands Mall coming soon. I think it was out there for 12 years. So it is, what we've grown into is phenomenal. I don't think any of us really envisioned it coming to this, but I'm not one of these guys that stood around and said, oh man, this is terrible. We're getting too big. There's too much traffic. We need to move someplace else. We need to get further out. Nope, the Woodlands is our home. Most of our friends are here. Our church is here. We're going to stay here.
So is incorporation one of your biggest concerns
that
you would like to address?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons that we went to the state legislature in 2006, to get a state law that amended the previous state law on establishing extraterritorial jurisdictions for big cities, so that we could have this, this moratorium on annexation. We fought hard for that, and we're paying for that. I mean, we're giving up a portion of our tax revenue to Houston and Conroe as a result of that. I think everybody recognizes, especially after the 1996 debacle with Kingwood and their annexation, and how long it took the city of Houston to get, Kingwood up to the level of services that they enjoyed prior to the annexation. I don't think anybody in the Woodlands wants to go through that. Now, if we're going to go to the legislature and we're going to get this, this special purpose legislation done and turn us into a township, the reason we're doing that is so the residents will have the opportunity to decide their future. The only way that we become incorporated as the Woodlands is if the majority of the Woodlands residents vote to become the city of the Woodlands. Now, if we let this run out and we don't take advantage of it, Houston can annex us or Conroe can annex us without our permission. Just see what's going on 105 with the communities. They're upset about what Conroe's doing. People in Clear Lake are still upset. And it's been 15 years since Clear Lake was annexed. Obviously, we don't want to go through that. And the idea that, that the board has any power whatsoever to incorporate us is nonsense. They do not. All that we can do is to start, doing the planning necessary, to look at what the real costs of incorporation are going to be. I've heard people say, well, we're going to have to take over all that road and bridge, maintenance, and we don't have the budget for that. Number one, bridges are maintained by TxDOT, not by the county. Therefore, if we are a city, TxDOT will give us the money, not Montgomery County. And the same is true for all the roadways. Any state funding that you would get to fix these roads would come to the city and not the county. So I'm not sure that there's the kind of impact in that issue that people are leading other people to believe. It's flat out a situation where, in the absence of real information, you've had some incredible whoppers being told out there about 70% tax increases. Nonsense. The Woodlands budget is set for 2017. It's 23 cents per thousand, same as last year, and it can't change until the budget process next year. So nobody needs to worry about, a 70% increase in their taxes, and nobody needs to worry about incorporate now because it's not happening.
That's perfect. That's a great answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. I guess we were talking about what your favorite thing is.
Well, we were actually what you wanted to ask me at the end was why people should vote for me.
Yeah. Why?
I've established, after 30 years here. I've worked at, in charitable boards, where there's a lot of conflict. I've worked in airport environments where there's a lot of conflict. I've worked with governmental entities, for years and years. Almost every airport in the world is controlled. Well, not in the world, but in North America is controlled by some sort of governmental entity, whether it's county, port, city. So I understand how all that works. I think that that I'm a kind of person that has ideas. I've never been somebody who accepted something that just didn't make any sense just because that's what we always did. And I've always been somebody who's challenged those ideas and said, well, why is it that we do it that way? And if somebody says to me it's because we always have, that's not a really good answer. In that case, let's talk about exactly why we're doing it, because it doesn't make sense to me. I think I bring that quality. I think I bring a forthrightness that, frankly, I don't see a lot. I'm willing to listen to other people's opinions, and I will take them on board. And if I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong. You have to be able to admit when you're wrong.
Willing to listen, but also not afraid to ask questions.
Not afraid to ask questions. I'm doing it because the Woodlands is our home, and if we don't get this right, we're going to have to move again. And that would really, make me unhappy. I don't want to do that. I want to stay here. I want to be part of this place, and I want to make it better.